Yama. My name is Marley Silver. I'm a proud Aboriginal woman from the Gamilaroi and Dunghutti tribes of New South Wales. On behalf of the Imperfects podcast, I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the country on which this podcast is created, and in this, honour the ways in which their elders, past and present, have cared for and nurtured their lands and waterways for millennia. I extend this acknowledgement to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people connected to each of the hundreds of countries that make up the continent of so-called Australia, and any of my brothers and sisters listening to this episode. I pay my respects to our leaders and knowledge keepers past and present. I find strength in our survival for over 60,000 years and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Always was, always will be.
Well, a very jolly hello there. Welcome to the Academy of Imperfection, where experts in their field share their wisdom on the subject of imperfection. On this occasion, making his grand return to the podcast to talk about failure, one-time footballer and current Resilience Project speaker extraordinaire, Martin Heppell, otherwise known as Rack.
You got through the churn. Now, tell me how hard it was. And they're going to say it was bloody tough. Without doubt it was. But guess what now? A positive outcome that has occurred that gives you a positive recollection that when you do fall in a hole again the next time, you can go back to this moment where we went through the churn and you got through.
So pop off your wellies and pull out your writing quills, because Rack's back, baby. Rack's back.
Well, this is a very, very big academy today, a huge academy. One of the most distinguished lecturers, direct from the halls of Cambridge and Oxford. This is a highly respected and decorated man in the room with us today.
Backed by popular demand?
Yes, backed by popular demand. He's a friend of ours and a friend of yours. You may know him as Rack, but we got Martin Heppell. We got him.
And this reminds me, being in a lecture, this reminds me when I went to uni, one of my subjects was children's literature, and the lecturer was so good that I didn't take a notepad because I knew I'd remember everything he said.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a notepad today because I'll remember everything. I always remember everything Rack says.
All right. Well, next week, the episode will be a test to see what you did and didn't remember from Rack's talk. Rack, this is the longest I've heard you not speak since I've met you.
Fair call.
It'd be amazing if you just froze
and got nervous.
Thanks so much for coming back.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Like when you were on last year, it was a vulnerability house, I think you did last year. And we said then, we're like, we got to get you back. I mean, you're more of you're everything, but you spend so much time educating with the Resilience Project that we were just like, yeah, we have to get you back for an Academy of Imperfection, and we bloody did it. We kept our word. Here you are.
Through. I'm pumped with you guys. You're not bullshit artists, which is great.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Thank you.
I respect you. I
Good.
do. Yeah.
That's good. I don't know whether, Hugh, you want to give like a proper introduction. I mean, we're treating it like everyone knows Rack, and they probably do, but
yeah, I don't think he needs much of an intro. The last two themes we spoke about here's the two main things I got from your chat that we had with you last time. The first one was just the importance of telling people you love them. And I wouldn't be the only one, because so many people have messaged me saying, oh, that was really huge for me. I started doing it and it's really great. So
yeah, awesome.
And the other thing was the power of sharing traumatic events from your past, which you so generously shared the trauma of your past. And it was really powerful. So many people reached out to me to say that, and I sent a few of the messages on to you, people saying that they were now going to share what they'd been through with someone. And I think that was a huge gift to give to all our listeners. So that was really big. Part of me just feels like saying, Rack, you've got 55 minutes, just talk.
Good. All right, let's go. So, can I seriously just go?
Yeah, why
not?
Yeah,
good. All right, so I reckon, so for me, I think today talking to you guys, it's about coming to grips with understanding and coping with failure. So that's the one for me. And what I mean by that is, I reckon right now where I am, and I'm not at a final destination in my time or anything like that, because I'm never going to get there, but I've become able to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. if that makes sense. So from the get-go when I was born, with my experiences was provided from my parents, it was uncomfortable. So like, living with the head hunting tribe, there were so many days where no one could speak English, so it was all body language. They'd never seen an Anglo-Saxon before. I've got photos of, the people looking at various parts of my body like, what on earth is this? Because it looked different or whatever it may be. It was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom every single night. I don't know if remember that scene where he looks at the lady and says, you got to eat this food. It's more food than this village has ever had in their life. And we had that every night at dinner where Dad would look at me and go, mate, you're eating that food. And we ate dog, not every night, but apparently we ate it once. We ate monkey, kijang, which is deer, wild boar.
I'm remembering from Indiana Jones, is that the monkey's brain?
It was before, I think it was before that though in the village. But yeah, that's the one where the monkey brains pop up with the eyes.
And the smoke.
Yeah. It wasn't that scene. But every night Dad would look at us, at my brother and I going, mate, you got to eat this. You got to show respect. And so it was weird, but it was uncomfortable. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But by having to live through it and getting through it, it enabled me to then understand that with future moments in my life that were uncomfortable, which were often linked to failure, I was able to know that, this moment right here and now sucks, but I'm going to get through it if I've got the ability to reflect and look back on it. And I didn't do it necessarily when I was a kid, but I then was better. So like Brené Brown talks about how majority of people, they can go back to that moment in their childhood and they can remember that one exact moment where they experienced shame or anxiety or fear because of something that happened where they were exposed, hung out to dry. And for me, it happened all the time. Whether it be, I remember when I was at an international school in Jakarta, Mr. C was my teacher and he was an awesome teacher, one of the best teachers I've ever had. And I didn't prepare for a test and I failed the test. And I remember being in the room and everyone else in the class passed the test, but I didn't. And everyone knew the results, like it was read out. And so I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's what happened. And I remember lining up at the door to exit the classroom and every single kid in that room was staring at me. And my interpretation, it wasn't what they were thinking, I don't know, but my interpretation was I wasn't enough, and I wasn't fitting in, you know what I mean? I wasn't with the crew. And then I remember like coming back to Carey and I was in year 9 and I hooked up with this girl, all right? I'm not going to mention her name because I'm tipping she doesn't want to ever be known to ever have had anything to do with me. But I remember I went out the back of the house and back in the day, it was called French kissing, man. It was unbelievable.
I know, we still call it French kissing.
Okay, I wasn't sure how you rolled. But anyway, and we had a bit of a pash, had a kiss, and it was a Saturday night. And I remember walking out of that party going, I'm the king, man. I remember waking up on Sunday, I'm unreal. And then I got to school on the Monday, and I didn't know it, but as soon as this girl arrived on the Monday, she'd spread the word that by kissing me, it was like kissing a sloppy, wet fish. And I didn't know the whole year level knew about this till around about lunchtime.
That could be a compliment in France.
It could be. It could be. But I walked around and I was shattered.
Yeah.
Like just because everyone's talking about you and you feel like you're not up to scratch. And it was constant failure. I went to St Kilda, played AFL football there. Mate, I played 7 games, but I didn't. I've been lying my whole life. I played 6 because in my first year there I won the BNF and the reserves. But one of the games I played was against
the BNF.
I did. Then I played a senior game at the MCG under lights against North Melbourne Friday night. Like North Melbourne under lights in the 90s was massive.
So what year?
1993.
So is that Lockett and Lowe?
Yeah, Lockett Lowe. Everyone played. They're all there.
And Wayne Carey was.
Yeah, he was started, and all my mates turned up. It was first year out of school, and it was 2 on the bench, and I remember just running in front of the members for the first quarter, didn't get on. For the second quarter, I didn't get on. For the third quarter, didn't get on. And then at 3/4 time, I went out and I thought, I'm on here. Like we were up by 10 points. I'll never forget, I thought, I got fresh legs. I reckon Bomber Kenny Sheldon's going to put me on. And at the start of the quarter, he didn't put me on. So I'm running laps again. And then it was like the 25-minute mark. I'm up by 30 points. I thought, he's going to put me on now for like 5 minutes. Didn't put me on. I didn't touch the ground, didn't play the whole game. 2 on the bench, man. 2 on the bench. Anyway, I remember walking into the rooms and we won. And so they sung the song and I was like biting my lip and I was just I
Be
I
pissed
felt
off.
like, in that moment I was, but
Yeah.
also that I felt like they didn't trust me, they didn't believe in me. And in years gone by, like now I look back on it and I'm not angry about it. It's that, I don't know the situation. Like I know Kenny Sheldon during that year was under the pump. Like I know that he might have been under pressure to keep his job. He might have been thinking, you know what, we're up by 4 goals here, but North could get on a run. I don't want to risk this rookie to put him out there.
Yeah.
I've got my job on the line. I don't know what he was going through.
Yeah.
So I look back on it now and I'm not angry, but in that moment I felt like they didn't believe in me. And I remember getting the showers and Stuart Lowe came up to me and said, that's the easiest $750 you ever learn. And he was like trying to hey mate, how good's that? You got 750, in that moment I wasn't practicing gratitude. I was like, I'm pissed off here. But the best thing that happened to me was that I walked out of there and I was all alone and I was bawling my eyes out. And my dad, I'll never forget it. He hadn't been at the game, right? And he watched it and he knew that I didn't play. He knew I didn't come on. And I'm walking out of the change rooms and I'm going past one of the light towers and I saw my dad and he was sitting there underneath the light towers and he didn't say anything. And I'll tear up talking about it right now, and I walked up to him and I just crumbled and he held me and he hugged me and he put his arm around me. And I remember we walked out of the MCG car park and neither of us said anything, but he was by my side.
Oh, yeah.
And so in that moment, I don't, and it's weird, like he didn't say anything, but when you learn things and people teach you things, but they don't tell you, they don't preach, you just see it. And in that moment, I learned how important it is to be by the side of others when they're dealing with grief. And for me, that was the moment that was grief. It was traumatic for me because it was humiliation, whatever it may be. But my dad was right there, and I got delisted from St Kilda because they said that I smoked marijuana, right? And that was one of the reasons they gave. I've never smoked dope in my life, got nothing against it, but mate, everyone thinks I do. Like you come away with me overseas and everyone's hit me up. They're saying, mate, you want to buy some gear off me? I'm like, mate, it's not me, dude. Yeah, sure. Come on, follow me. And when I was stupid, I was wearing Addy Hash T-shirts to training. Like, mate, I'm not joking. Like, how dumb can you be? And Bob Marley, and I had long hair. I had Rasta music going on. My dad had been working in Africa. He brought back beads for me. I'm wearing beads.
Bumper sticker on your car that says, I definitely smoke marijuana.
And I was shattered. And I remember like Nathan Burke said to this bloke, Thor, Sean Rouse-Smith, they said they don't like Rack because he doesn't look like a footballer and he doesn't act like a footballer. They didn't delist me because I smoked marijuana. That's what I was told. But they delisted me because I wasn't good enough. And I wasn't. But in that moment, I wanted to talk to him. So I went down there and I said to him, hey, I'm okay being delisted for not being good enough, but I just want to let you know that I don't smoke dope. And for whatever reason, I needed to get that across the line. But in that moment, I also learned about, hey, it's okay to not be good enough. But I've got to put my heart and soul into something. Went to Melbourne, played there, failed, delisted within a year. Like the best thing I contributed to that club was they had a karaoke night and I did Walk This Way, Run DMC. And I'm not gonna lie, I destroyed the joint. Like, I destroyed it. Like the bartenders gave me a free jug afterwards. Like it was the only time Barmy talked to me for the whole year. He said, that wasn't bad, Rack. But then I got delisted and I go to Norwood. I thought I was going to play.
So you after you get delisted from St Kilda first, and you said that you felt okay about not being good enough. How I don't understand. Like, how can you feel okay about that in the moment? Like, I can understand how you could feel good about it in years later, looking back on it, but in the moment, I'd find that very difficult.
It was confronting. Like, and back there wasn't internet chat forums or anything like that, but there was the paper and it said it. But I mean, I think also then I was learning about identity, and so my identity with all my mates was just footy. And so whenever they'd see you, hey mate, how's footy going? It's the first thing they'd ask, right? So it's almost like nowadays you see your friends, how's work going? Or whatever it may be. It's the first thing you ask people. And if you get consumed by that, you start to believe that that's what your self-worth is solely connected to. And for me, my self-worth was at that stage connected solely to my identity, which was footy. So when footy was going well, I experienced positive emotions whenever I answered that question. Hey, how's footy going, mate? Yeah. I'd be humble, but I'd go, yeah, it's going good. Yeah, it's going okay. But deep down I knew, hey man, I've played a couple of senior games, or I just got drafted, or I just got redrafted. I'd feel good, experience positive emotions. But when it was going bad, I dreaded it because I knew it was the first question that was going to be asked of me when I went to the pub, when I went to the 21st, when I went to the party.
And all your eggs are in that basket.
And so that's all I was. And so I'm straight away experiencing negative emotions. And so I think I started going through a churn where when I was playing in the SNFL in Adelaide, where I started to realise that my identity wasn't solely linked to football, and I was more than that, and I am more than that, and I hadn't worked out what that was as of yet, but I had to breathe, and I had to go through the churn and possibly go on some self-discovery, some journeys and stuff up along the way to get to whatever the destination was, where I believed that I could forge another identity that possibly was more linked to what I was able to do at that particular moment in time. And I stuffed up over there. Like the coach said to me one night, I looked like a dead dog in the gutter because, mate, I was a bum. I had long hair, never washed it. I'd come to training with boardies on and nothing else. And I was obese because nothing against that, but I was at that stage because I did my ACL. I came back to Melbourne. All I did was drink piss with my mates Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I found the ones who are at uni. Right, you're on Tuesday, Thursday. I had a hospitality mate, Badooch. He was every Monday night. I had my mates who worked full time every Saturday, Sunday. And I had a ball, but I put on 14 kilo. Come back, but in a football environment, put on 14 kilo. That's horrific. That's the worst thing you could do, mate. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're getting, I wasn't being fat shamed, but people, like I remember one bloke walked in the showers, my nickname was not Rack anymore, it was KFC. And then I was the whale. And you're sitting there, you're in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you got to deal with that. And
I feel like that's even a thing even today when professional athletes put on a bit of weight. It's often a huge story in the media. It becomes a massive talking point. Yeah, and it is body shaming, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, I believe it is. But I mean, I didn't at that moment. What I was lucky is that everything that's happened to me that is embarrassing, everything that happens that I do that's a failure, I actually thrive on it. I love it because.
Have you always though? Did you thrive in it when you were failing at footy?
I don't think so when I was a kid. I reckon when I was growing up, but I reckon I started to learn about it when I left footy. I remember one time at training at VFL Park, Bomber sprayed me about a kick that I did. Called me Kenny Sheldon.
Okay, yeah.
And
Bomber, mate.
Yeah, sorry. And he spread.
Sorry, Rack.
No, I know. We'll talk to you. Yeah. And I went into my shower. And then from the rest of the training, every time I got the footy, I tightened up. I wasn't relaxed, wasn't hitting targets, and I was just in a monster shower. And you get bombarded. But I think when I went overseas, I went with my brother. I think that was probably one of the best moments of my life in terms of learning, because before we went, Dad took us back to Borneo and he left us there with the tribe, just the two of us.
So how old are you when he took you back?
I was about 24, Mal was about 21.
And do you know why he took you back?
Definitely.
Is this after you've been delisted?
Yeah, afterwards, because he wanted it. Oh no, actually it was probably about 26. I was 26, I reckon, and Mal's about 23. He wanted us to go back. And he wanted us to understand.
And this is, sorry to keep jumping in, but just for people who didn't hear the last episode you did, that's where you grew up.
Grew up, with the headhunting tribe.
With the headhunting tribe, which does probably need more explanation, but without going into it, listen to the last episode with Rack. Yeah,
and we learned, and I think I really learned about, I don't know, pardon the pun, imperfection, but I learned that this is when I started learning about it, about thriving on it. Like I remember.
Sorry. Your dad took you there. Why though? Why did your dad take you back?
He took us there to get us out of our comfort zone, to remind us about the simplicities of life, but also to tap back into the morals and the values that this tribe lived by. Yep. And this tribe lived by about, hey, you are who you are. You are no one else. You are you. You be you, and we'll accept you for being you. You know, and you talk about it, Hugh, fitting in and belonging. Like when I was at St Kilda and Melbourne, I saw so many blokes trying to fit in. So fitting in, I'd see it on a footy trip where senior players would be doing something and the junior players thought they had to do it, even if they didn't want to do it, but they had to do it because if they didn't do it, status would be impacted, right? And I was really lucky because when I was there, I was like, no, mate, I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm about. Mate, you do it. I've got no issue, but I'm not doing it. And if you want to burn me, if you want to leave me on my own, if you don't think I fit in with you guys, I'm cool with that, but I'm me, man, and I'm going to be no one else. So like roll with that, but I'm rolling the way I roll. Now, the way you roll is different. The way I roll is different, but mate, I'm letting you be different. But if I'm letting you be different, you let me be different. And so that's what the Eban did, the headhunting tribe. They allowed everyone to be different. And I think for my brother and I at that moment in time, it was going, hey man, you've got these morals and values, check back in with them. They're true, they're trusted, and they work. Not all the time, but more often than not. You're going to get a kick in the ass. Get back to your morals and values, the epicenter of how you are, and go with that, and that will be your rudder. That will lead you wherever you may go. And we were up there, and I remember they made a boat called Mikhail. My dad's Michael, but they can't say Michael, so they call him Mikhail. Yeah. And I'm Martin, like massive R. Wow. Martin. Every time I was like, whoa. Anyway, and they built a boat for us, a long boat, which is like a really long, thin boat. Yeah. But it's got to pierce the rapids. Hey, I don't know where you, mate. Yeah. I know you got a lawnmower and your farm and whatnot, but you might have a boat.
No, I think I imagined what a longboat was, but the explanation was handy.
There we go. And they took 2 days to make this boat, and it was a gift to Mal and I.
Oh, beautiful.
Right, amazing, yeah. And so then we went prowling. So prowling is when they don't have outboards, because an outboard motor will get churned up by all the rocks because of the rapids and whatnot. So prowling is you have a bamboo pole, and and it hits the bottom of the riverbed, and you like pole vault, and you propel yourself forward.
Oh, wow.
One's at the back, one's at the front. So Mel and I are going, mate, we're going upriver. Let's go upriver. So we went upriver and we're propelling ourselves forward. We're both falling in all the time, blaming one another. And then being the two smart blokes that we are, we knew we had to come back down, but we had no paddle. We had nothing to steer with. So we're like, cripey, but we've got to get back down because it's getting dark. So we turned around and we came down the rapids, and we got through the first ones all right. And where the longhouse was, which was the large communal area where they all resided, where they lived, there was a dog leg. And the rapids would fang around, and it almost like, they hit the wall and they bounce back around. And I was like, mate, we're under the pump here, because these rapids were massive. And so we're flying down. I'm in the front, Mal's in the back. And I go, Mal, mate, we're stuffed here. And he didn't respond. And I don't know what was going on, but I was in the front hanging on. We went through the rapids. We hit this massive rock, and the whole boat just sunk. It just popped open, and it was down. And I'm hanging on. I'm looking for Mal. I can't find him anywhere. I'm freaking out, going, bloody hell, my brother's drowned. And what I didn't know is that around about 300 metres before we hit that rapid, he jumped out the back of the longboat and pissed off the side of the river and left me hanging. And so I was losing my mind. He's at the top, pissed himself laughing. I get out, but all the E-Bahn are furious. Like, they are angry because and fair enough. Yeah. Disrespectful. We put 2 days of our effort in it, and not just one bloke, like the whole tribe did it. So Dad said to us before we went up there, if you ever get in trouble, here's a bottle of Johnny Walker and these Filipino cigars, right? You pull these guys out. It's a last option, but if it's about to go pear-shaped, get these out. So Mal and
as like a gift, or as something to kind of like
apologise, say sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So he pulled it out.
I love that he preempted that. You would need that.
And so all the locals, they drink tuak and arak. So it's rice wine, and then it's like their version of grappa or whatever it may be. It's brutal, and the rice wine is horrific. Like it's creamy. It's not good. Anyway, so we put up the Johnny Walker. They haven't had the Johnny Walker before, and they're getting pretty pissed. They're starting to rock, and then Mal pulled out these Filipino cigars. They smoke basically they have a dried plant that they use as like the paper for a cigarette, and they put the tobacco in there. That's what they'd normally smoke. They saw these cigars. They thought they were cigarettes, right? So they're smoking the cigarettes and they're inhaling them. And we thought we were going to kill them all because Liet and Mujab, who are the leaders of the tribe, they're in their 70s. They don't want to be disrespectful. They're smoking and they're coughing and whatnot. And so Mal stood up and he's gone, no. And he's like, no. Wah, 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 wah. And I'm looking and going, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to teach them to smoke it in, but then blow it out straight away. Oh, wow. And they're all looking at him going, what are you doing? And then like 5 minutes later, the whole tribe, wah, 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 wah. To this day, I'm not joking. Well, we haven't been back in the last 2 years, but to this day, we take the cigars back to them. And in 2018, when we last went there, they pull them out. Wah, 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 still. And so but like, what in
sounds
that
really
moment,
similar to the St Kilda footy trip.
But in that moment, I then also learn about failure, if you can look at it the right way, often leads to laughter.
Wow.
If you can look at it that way, and so
just always have a bottle of Johnny Walker.
Well, maybe.
Just realised why we really why you were so when you came back and played footy at Old Kerry where I was playing. I just realised why we bonded so quickly, because I was on the bench all the time, and he was so supportive of me. And now I know why.
Empathy, mate. I was with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then like, I think my next stage of failure was being overseas, and by the end of the trip, not knowing what I was going to do when I came back. And I came back to Melbourne, and I was I think I was about 28, something like that.
And was there still a feeling like when you come back to Melbourne, I don't know if it's the same thing, but if you go on a holiday or you go away from your hometown for a while, you kind of have the opportunity to leave that version of you behind. And then when you return, you're like, oh, I guess I'm back to...
I reckon
I can't wear my linen shirts like I was in Italy anymore. I'm back to being that version.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair enough, because for me, I fell into the massive trap of comparison. And so I came back home, and majority of my friends, or people I went to school with in particular, they might not necessarily have done the things that I had done. They hadn't travelled, hadn't had those experiences, but materialistically, they were well advanced. You know, they had houses, they had cars, they were earning good money. And I was walking around and comparing myself to them.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest mistake I reckon I've ever made. Like, that was the big one, because I was comparing myself to them, thinking that I was inadequate. And at that stage, I remember vividly that I wanted to run. And by running, it was go back away overseas. You know, just go back traveling again, because I felt like I didn't belong. Right?
And to run away, is that because you felt like overseas it's not put in your face? You're not like
and
comparing
I could meet up with people and go backpacking, and the first question you were asked wasn't what school you went to, or where do you work, where do you live, how much corn you're on. I'm not asking how much corn you're on, but I really am asking you how much corn you're on. Can you just give me a couple of hints about how much corn you're on? Yeah, cool, man. What car are you driving? Oh, yeah, Wicked, man. Yeah, all right. What year is that? Oh, Wicked. Yeah, the new one. All right, Wicked. All that. And so... And then also at that stage of my life, I was really feeling it in the sense of my mates were starting to settle down and meet partners and get married and whatnot. And I felt like I was always behind. You know, I wasn't in lieu with what the protocol was.
What's the societal norms?
It's deemed easy to do. And like, you know, when I was at uni, when I was playing footy, I was young and stupid. I thought I was going to make it, so I won't go to uni.
Yeah.
You know, I was stupid, man. But the best piece of advice my mum has ever given to me to this day is, and she said it to me and I've applied it to everything, is whether it be work or whether it be love or relationships. And I don't even know if she was there with me, but when I say with me, I mean in tune of what I was thinking. I moved back home with mum and dad. I had no money. So, mate, you're in your late 20s, you live with mum and dad. So that, like, people look at you going, what are you doing? Where do you live? Oh, I live with my mum and dad. You know, and like straight away, the girls looking and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I was, and I love my mum and my dad. They're legends, man. But I remember this is when it hit me the most. I was experiencing or fearing loneliness. And what it was I'd take the dog for a walk, Ambrose, with mum, and we'd walk around the block.
Sorry, what was your dog's name?
Ambrose. We had Curtly and Ambrose. We did. Legends.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. Newfoundland, like a nightmare though. Like we'd take him out to the Yarra, he'd jump in the Yarra, and then he wouldn't dry himself until he got in the Mazda Metro, and he'd shake himself. And my dad would always buy us aftershave because, you know, he's not very thoughtful, and he thought, oh, that's what Mal and Martin want. And so I'll buy you aftershave after my every overseas joint. And then we found Mum, she had all the aftershave in the Mazda Metro because when Ambrose got back in from the Yarra, she'd spray the whole thing. Mate, he had Christian Dior, he had, mate, you know, all that stuff all over. Anyway, but I remember walking around the block and it hit me, it'd be dusk and it would be like, you know, that pink sunset. And I'm not getting romantic, like, but I was like, all my mates are with their girlfriends, are with their partners, or with their wives, whoever it may be, boyfriends, whatever it may be, and I'm alone. And then little things happened where it was chipping away at me. Like I remember like being with this girl for a while, and then she broke up with me because she said to me, when I look at you, I can't see that you, and I'm not giving her grief, man. This is valid, okay? But she said to me, when I look at you, I don't think you in the future can financially support me or our family if we did have one. Right? And that stung. Like at the same time, and then that was almost like what you talked about before about when I was on the bench. I was angry, you know, peeved off about not getting a run, but then on reflection, I could see it. So in that moment, I was like, well, stuff you, man. I don't want to be with you. If that's the way you're going to be, mate, I don't want to be like, that's not how that's not my checklist of meeting the partner for life is not how much coin they're going to make. It's their heart, their soul. Are they going to be with me? Are they going to accept me for who I am? Am I going to be there for them? But that was rocking me. And so but Mum said to me in that moment when I was thinking that, even though I wasn't speaking to her about it, she said, Martin, it doesn't matter when you find it as long as you do. And my interpretation of that was, you get a hit, you didn't find it. You get knocked down, you didn't find it. You got sacked, you didn't find it. Break up, you didn't find it. You go again. Believe it's out there. And so she and my dad gave me belief to know that it is out there. I've just got to find it. But if I pull the pin here and I don't move on, if I sook and moan for a day, I'm cool with that. But if I continue to do it, I'm not going to find it. And what it taught me was that, hey, you are a good human being. You're not the best human being. You're not the human being for everyone. There's going to be people who are going to like you. There's going to be people that don't. But when it comes down to it, when you break it all down, you have got people who love you for who you are, and you will find people for who you are, but you will not find them if you don't make the effort, and you will not find them if you don't show up and give everything you've got. And so from then on, I was like, I'm in. Like, I'm all in. And so for me, the problem with being all in is that you are going to fail. So when I was coaching these kids footy, my biggest gripe with them is that, you guys, I love you blokes. I've got your back. I'll do anything for you, but you're too scared to give your all today, because if you give your all and it's not good enough, then what?
Yeah.
So I don't want to go and give my all, because if I do give my all and it's not good enough, then what? I'm not worthy. Whereas my point of view and where I'm coming from is I am all in. Like, I'm all in this podcast right now with you guys. Now, mate, it could go pear-shaped. You know, this won't go to air. I don't care. That's your call, not mine. But hey, I'm all in. Now, being all in doesn't always get you what you want, but being all in quite often gets you to a place that is magical. And the magic is when you meet someone who enjoys you being all in.
Yeah.
That's the magic. So for me, it was going back to university and doing primary school teaching, you know, and stuffing up there and failing, and then working out that I love working with kids. Like, you put me in a room full of prep kids, grade 1, 2.
You've never,
anyway,
I've seen
right.
it, and you've
Yeah,
never
I've
seen
seen it too.
anything like it.
Nah.
You with
Incredible.
a group of kids.
That's me. Like, I'm on. And probably because my maturity levels are on the same page as them.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, like, by being all in, I met Jen, you know, and like, you know, Jen and I, like, when we started off, we had judgment because there's an age difference between us, you know, and how it works is that she's mature and I'm immature. But what I'm so lucky is she's amazing, man. Like, she would be a wonderful partner to so many people. But I don't think I'd be a wonderful partner to so many people. I think I'd be a wonderful partner just to her, right? And that's where I'm so bloody lucky, because I found the one, man, who can handle me. I found the one who can give me the eye and go, you need to pipe down. This is not your wedding. It's their wedding. Just pipe it down right now, man. All right?
Get off that knee. It's not our day.
But seriously. And she gives me the look, and I'm there. But if
So I mean, sorry to just
Keep going, man.
This is just amazing. I just love this, and what I think is really resonating, and what I feel, and luckily, I'm lucky that I haven't had to deal with this. Like, I was lucky that I found success by my meaning of success relatively early in my adult life, for whatever reason. But you know, I meet so many people who don't find their thing for a long time, and then and timing. And timing is such a huge part of this, and is exactly what you're saying. And I get really passionate about this because I feel like people get really down on themselves if they don't find their thing by whatever age that they think is an acceptable age, because they're comparing to what their friends or whatever think is right. And so they'll settle for something that they don't love, because it's like, because their parents or friends are in trying to help, their friends or parents are trying to encourage them to just get a job, any job, to financially support themselves. And because they've already reached the age of 30 or 35 or 40 and they haven't found their thing, they tell themselves they're probably right. I'm never going to do my thing, so I may as well stop looking and just get a job and be serious about life.
100%.
And it just, I get it. I really do get it why people do that, but it just, and I come from a place of privilege, I know, because I did happen to find my thing early, but I always try and encourage people to just like to stick with it. And I just love what you're saying, because timing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what age you're at. It just doesn't.
I've got Dog Boy, nickname, Tonga, nickname. One lives in Amsterdam, the other one lives in Melbourne.
Is nickname their surname?
No. Just
G'day, Dog Boy nickname.
They're brothers.
The nickname brothers, Tonga and Dog Boy.
Yeah. Anyway, but and I've been into others as well in the past with exact that conversation, is that I have belief because I've heard. So what I mean by that is my dad was a chartered accountant working for IBM in London, earning good coin, hated it, right? He was like, and he felt like he had to do it, exactly what you're saying, but then he had the courage to go to university and study anthropology, right?
Yeah.
And then living in Canberra when they were in Melbourne off cardboard boxes because they had no money because they were going through the churn. But he believed in it. But where he was bloody lucky is he had an amazing wife, my mum, who backed him into the hilt.
Yeah.
And there was no pressure there. Now, he felt external pressure, but the pressure was not being applied by those who matter, right? So then I've got two mates, Tonga and Dog Boy, and they are amazing at what they do. And I'm into them right now. Like as in like on Friday I had the conversation with Tonga.
When you say into them, I mean you're talking.
Like I'm talking to him about, and I'm saying to him, hey mate, you are so lucky you got an amazing wife, right? She loves you who you are, you got great kids. But mate, if you want to go back and get an education because you believe that a degree will help you do what you want to do right now better or will open more doors, then you got to go for it, man. Like go for it. Yeah. There's ways around it. Like, yeah, it'll be tough. It's not easy. Mate, if you want it to be easy, then, mate, just check out right now. Mate, it is tough. That's why it's so awesome, because when it is tough, you got to work through it. But then when you get to the final destination, you look back and you go, man, that was worth it. Bloody hell, it was tough. Yeah. And like, I mean, it's funny, like when I took parents around on tours at our school.
This is when he was an assistant principal to school. Yeah.
And I talked to him about resilience. And like Hugh and I went on the radar then, I mean, in terms of our relationship. But I'd talk to them about, I'd say, hey, your kid, if you want them to be resilient, right, they have to experience failure. It's a no, I'm sorry. Like they have to go through the churn. They have to experience adversity. If they do not experience adversity, then how do they ever understand what it is and the processes, the strategies that they can implement to put into play? Because this is how it's going to work. They're going to come to our school and they are going to fail, man. Stone cold guarantee. But this is how what we're going to do is going to help them out, is that we're going to work out when they do fail and we're going to be there right there and then, and we are not going to save them. We are not going to save them. But we are going to give them some skills and strategies to implement at that moment in time to support them to get through this churn. And we're going to pump them up. We're going to give them positive reinforcement. We're going to encourage them to keep going. And they're going to keep going. And when we get into that final destination, booyah, we are going to celebrate. I'm going to look at that kid and go, you are the biggest legend going around the world, man. Did you see what happened? You got through this churn, man. You got through the churn. Now, tell me how hard it was. And they're going to say it was bloody tough. Without doubt it was. But guess what now? You've got a positive outcome that has occurred that gives you a positive recollection that when you do fall in a hole again the next time, you can go back to this moment where we went through the churn and you got through. Now you believe. Our issue as parents is that we don't let the kids stuff up. I'm going to go save them. I'm going to go save them. I'm going to go save them. You don't let go. Toughest gig in the world, letting go as a parent. Mate, it's the hardest thing. Macy, my daughter, we went around to mum and dad's house the other day, and our concrete out the front of the house has got those little pebbles in it, It's called sandpaper. It's just ripping skin right off you. Yes. She's 16 months old, and she's running down the hill. I'm going, oh, my God, she's going here. She's going for sure. And I'm like, heart in my mouth. And, mate, I live and breathe this. Yeah. And I'm there going, oh, I'm going to go save her. Yeah. But I'm fighting. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just watching it. And she's going to eat tarmac. And she didn't eat tarmac. And I was like, yes. But I can guarantee you the next time it happens, she will.
Were you slightly disappointed?
I don't know. But like,
I imagine your house rack could just be like set up with thousands of booby traps.
Paint hanging over doors.
Just like set up for resilience building.
but so for me, all those experiences that I had as a kid and playing football and traveling overseas and being a teacher, all those failures have enabled me to believe in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to say I'm a failure. Now, people will say to me, I've said that before, people will say to me, but you're not. I go, yeah, I am. I fail all the time, but hang on. But your definition of failure is different to mine. My definition of failure is the journey. And it's just started, dude. It's just started. So, hey, it sucked. And don't get me wrong, it still rocks me. Like Josh and I, we were making this studio in Dramana. Be careful here, all right? and we're making a studio in Dramana, and I did a free gig, man, right? For this creek club down where I am at the moment. Right? And it's all cool.
You did a talk.
Yeah, I did a talk. And the bloke said to me, it's for the seniors. So, and he will know better than me. When you walk in and do a talk, if you know who you're talking to, you can nail it, right? But when there's a spread, it's a nightmare because you're trying to work out where you're going to go.
Kids, grandparents, like everyone.
So he told me it was adult males. I was like, mate, easy. Like you can do that in your sleep, all right? I rock on up and he's got the whole community there. He's got kids who are 4 years of age, you know, primary school kids, secondary schools, all genders, everything like that. The old bloke at the bar who serves free grog then thinks he can get a free pot himself because he's serving free grog. No, mate, pay up. But anyway, but like, so it was a nightmare, right? Because I was trying to keep the prep kids engaged, but you can't keep a prep kid engaged with content that you're trying to hit a professional with who's in their late 30s. Everyone's got a different lens. So it wasn't my best talk, wasn't my worst, but it wasn't my best. The very next day, Josh is helping me out down Dramana. We're setting up the studio, right? Josh, legend, okay? Yeah. And he's helping me out and we're fixing it up. And on the other side of the studio wall is, adjoining the wall is a shop. Yeah. Yeah, a shop. But they've taken all the cladding off the wall. And so there was no barrier for sound. And we could hear everything that was going on the other side of the wall. Yeah. Josh and I fixed it up, and then we hear a phone go. And this bloke picks up the phone, and this is how it went. He goes, this is on the Friday, the night after I did the talk on Thursday night training. And the phone picks up, and this bloke picks up the phone and goes, oh, yeah, it was okay. Oh, had some wanker come down, talk about that mindfulness and gratitude crap. And then he goes, yeah, he was a flog. And then it went quiet. He goes, mate, he obviously hasn't got any mates. This is what he said. Whoa. So I heard this,
verbatim.
And I heard this, and I'm looking at Josh going, and in that moment, I'm ready to roll. Like I'm tip top, ready to roll.
What do you mean ready to roll?
I got steam. I'm steam coming out of the ears.
Angry,
I'm ready to go through the wall. I'm like, let's get this on, sort of thing. And I can't roll, by the way. I can't. But that's what I'm thinking. And then I looked, and then I calmed down a bit. And then I said to Josh, "I've got to go in there, mate." And Josh like, "No, don't do it, Rack. Just don't do it." Like, no, I have to. If I don't go in there, I'm not going to be able to look myself in the mirror tonight. Yeah. So I walked in there, and there was 3 blokes in there. And Josh said to me, "How are you going to know who said it?" He said, I'm not good with names, but whenever I present, I know every head in the joint.
It's a classic question from Josh.
I watch. So I watch, and I just know the heads. I'll see a head. I'll know who it is. Yeah. Yep, if they were there last night, we're on. Walked in, there's 3 blokes. The first 2 blokes, like, "G'day, fellas." And I looked at them. No, it wasn't you two. Right, so then I'm talking to them, and whilst I'm talking to them, I'm canvassing. I'm looking around, and I find the next bloke. I go, "Yep, you were there last night. It is you." So I said, "Hey, boys, just give me a heads up. My name's Martin. I've just moved in next door. I'm doing webinars and presentations from like right on the other side of that wall. If I'm a bit noisy, I'm a bit loud, right? So if I pipe up too loud or whatever, just come and give me a tap on the window, wink and a nudge, and I'll pipe it down for you." And these 2 blokes who weren't at the presentation the previous night go, "Yeah, mate, no worries, mate. All be good, mate. Yes, yeah, mate, no problems." I go, "Yeah, no worries, mate." And then that other bloke who was there, he looked up. And when he looked up, he all of a sudden, it was like, I don't know, poison ivy had been sort of brushed all over. He was itching like there was no tomorrow. He had a massive itch. It was like itching. And I said, "Boys, I'm just giving you a heads up. No, it is really clear to hear each other. I'll give you an example right now. just a minute ago, one of you had a phone call and someone rang you up and you said to them, hey, yeah, it was, not that great. Had some wanker who was talking about mindfulness and gratitude. And I said to them, and by the way, anyone who does that has to be a wanker. Like, what a flog they are. And then you said how he's got no mates. And I'm tipping, of course he wouldn't have any mates. Like, he's got no mates. Anyway, that's just an example of how crystal clear that war is in terms of hearing each other. And then I just turned around and walked straight back out. Now, I was fuming. But then I got in the car and Josh and I went and did some filming. But then afterwards I was driving home and then I felt really bad, guilty. Because I was like, I felt for the bloke. Because like, how old is he? Like, who in their right mind would think that the bloke who did the presentation the night before is standing on the other side of the bloody war and he's dropping? Like, he got rolled.
Yeah.
So rolled. So I'm angry and I failed. And then I reflect on it and I go, right, well, the next time I do a presentation like that, I've got to find out more information.
Do you mean you failed in the presentation?
Yeah. Well, that bloke didn't like it. But also it taught me that not everyone likes what you do and be okay with that.
Yeah.
And you cannot be liked by everyone. It is impossible. But you are you. So when I doubt myself or when that happens, I go, well, you know what? My parents love me for who I am. My wife does. My kids do. My brother does. His wife, and she does. But, man, she's a legend, man, because there's been times when Mal and I together where you wouldn't want to. And everyone, they all love me for who I am. So if you get burnt, if you fail, get back to who you are.
See that
who are you?
To be genuine, it does genuinely surprise me that I don't know you that well, but to hear that you would get like rocked by someone talking ill of you like that.
Go, Josh.
Well, I was there, and I know you pretty well now, and in that moment, all that internal stuff, I didn't see any of it. Like you just seemed like you were supremely confident. It was more like, it doesn't affect me at all, but I'm just going to let this guy know maybe to be a bit like, because he needs to know.
Bravado.
Yeah, but the fact that there was an internal dialogue going on like that, I would never have known. And it's really interesting for me to hear that, because having spent a lot of time with you, it's very easy to see the external part and the way you behave and think, oh, he obviously just doesn't feel that stuff underneath. Like that internal dialogue isn't there because you're a very confident, outgoing person. And I find it really empowering to hear that you go through that process and then you're able to choose an action that you want, like you're able to act in the way you want to act most of the time, I think. But maybe there's times where you regret it. But I find that really interesting because from a person who goes through all that stuff and then doesn't have or hasn't in the past had the confidence to go, no, I'm going to take this situation head on. I'm going to see what can I learn from this. I'm going to use this moment of failure to better myself, all that kind of stuff. It just seems like I thought we were made of different stuff. And it's really interesting to hear that we're not made of different stuff. It's just that you have learnt and acquired the skills to process it differently.
I think that's the case. And like I feel everything. Like I don't want to let people down. I remember when with Hugh, like
I was just about to tell this story, but you go.
You go. Well, like when we started, like
I still feel sick thinking about this.
No, that's fine. But like he got an email like this. So this is my take on things, right? Hugh starts this, or the Resilience Project. Sorry, starts this 10 years ago, whatever it is. Yeah, and then he has the trust and the faith in me to ask me to do this with him. And then also I'm going out there doing presentations. I'm representing him, no one else. I'm representing him. If I don't bring my A game, this is what I say to myself every day whenever I do a presentation. If I don't bring my A game today, I'm burning him. Now, right or wrong, that's how I live.
Wrong. That's wrong.
No, I don't want to let him down because he opened up his heart and soul to me. And his heart and soul is this. All your listeners know, Josh and Hugh's story. They know Hugh's story. Right? This is so much more than a business. It's not. All right? So don't ever tell me that it is. This is about helping people. This is about the journey those two went on. And it was rocking. And when I say rocking, like it was up and down. So I go and do the first presentation And
It was his first ever one.
yeah, and Hugh gets an email from the principal, or the principal of the school. I think it was the principal.
No, it was the AP.
AP.
Yeah.
What's
And-
the AP?
Assistant principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically just goes to town on me. Fair enough. All cool.
No. It wasn't fair enough.
Yeah,
It
but
was really personal. It was because it wasn't me. They expected me.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted me, and I said, no, there's someone else.
Yeah.
And I honestly, Barack Obama could have turned up and they would have sent an abusive email.
Really?
But no, probably.
That comes out really bad because you're saying how good you are compared to Barack. No, mate, hey, I know you've done some good things in your time, but mate, you have not. You haven't
Is this when you announce you're running for 2024?
against Clive Palmer. Oh my God.
No. But anyway, I was like, no, you're going to love this guy. And Rack went out there. And then, I got an email the next day. But anyway, you keep going.
And so Hugh, for a couple of days, I reckon, sat on it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about Hugh is that he told me about it. And what it made me do, whether I agree or disagree with it. No.
Sorry.
Yeah, but whether I agree or disagree with it, it makes me self-reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, this is the crucial moment though. I then self-reflect and I take it on board. And then what I do is I go, you know what? No, I hear, but I'm not taking that. I'm going to back myself in. I'm going again. Now, if I then went again and I got like 10 emails that Hugh passed on, then I got to look at it.
Do you mean go again as in just
do another presentation?
Yeah.
But what I see it as, this is an outlier. All right, go back to your morals and your values. Reflect on the presentation. What did you do? Did you do anything wrong? And not as again. Like Hughes talked about this ages ago. You were describing the two of us as presenters, and Hugh said, "Oh," and he was being very, very, self-depreciating to himself. He said, "I'm vanilla." And Rack is lemon gelati. Yeah. Everyone likes vanilla. Yeah. Everyone loves vanilla, but not everyone loves lemon gelati. But those who love it, love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was, and I think about
again,
that a lot.
I'm saying everyone loves me.
No.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear, Rack. Everyone loves me.
No. He didn't say it like that. And it was. I threw that in there just because I thought he's gone Barack. And I was like, mate, pipe down, right? But like, so then in that moment, I think because I've lived through failure and because I've woken up the next day and survived it, I go, all right, this is uncomfortable. What can you do to make it comfortable? Or what can you do to get comfortable? You've got to experience the emotions because if you don't, you're not going to be better for it. Work out how to get there and then saddle up, big boy. We go again. But I'm not going to go again and not give my all. I'm giving everything I've got, my heart and soul.
Double down.
Big time.
Yeah.
And like these guys know that like I'm like a red rag when someone, like at the start, Hugh being Hugh, I'd turn up to a presentation. I remember one of the teachers, I saw her mouth. I won't say it out loud, but and then F-bomb is this. And I read her lips.
Yeah,
remember
that's
that?
right. Yeah.
And I walked in and said, "G'day, how are you?" And she's like, "Who are you?" I was like, "I'm Martin from the Resilience Project." She said, "What?" No, I wanted Hugh Van Collenberg. I said, "Well, he's not here." And she goes, "Well, I want Hugh." I said, "Well, I'm telling you right now, he's not here. So you've got a couple of choices. Either I can walk straight back out this door and go home and you have a presentation, or you can take the punt and let me go in there and see what happens." And she was fuming, right? Fuming. And she goes, "Well, seeing that you're here, you may as well go." And so I said, "No worries." And so then as soon as she said that, I was like, "Rightio, Rack." I know, third person, but that's what I do. Right? And I said, "It's time to roll it out." And I go to that place where I'm going, right, I'm going to destroy this joint. I'm going to show you what's going down, and I'm going to give it everything I've got. And it was it was a private school, girls' school, and every girl in there, they're like, "Oh my God, what on earth is going on?" And I had them, and I got them. And the lady at the end, she came up to me and she said, "Oh my God," she was like, flabbergasted.
Yeah.
That was I don't like anything. Yeah. Fantastic, whatever it may be.
We had Barack Obama last week. That was fantastic.
But it isn't always fantastic. Up in Townsville, I'm up in Townsville 3 years ago, and I got 1,000 kids in a hall, year 7, 8, 9. All right, Now, to roll it up a bit more, they decided to bring these kids in there 40 minutes before the presentation. So I've got years 7, 8, 9 sitting in a hall in a basketball court on the ground for 40 minutes, man. What do you reckon's going to happen? They're tearing the joint apart. I would be too. So I'm looking there going, this has got pear-shaped written all over it. I get up on the stage, the mic doesn't work. Then the projector goes down. I've got no mic, I've got no projector. I've got 1,000 kids in a basketball court. It's not like this room. There's no soundproofing going on. I was Ronald Dale Barassi giving a 3/4 time spray. It was the only way I could think they could hear me. At the start of it, I'm screaming. I've got them for about 5-10 minutes. Then it was like, wherever you may be, if you were 20 metres from the stage, I still had you. But then from 30 metres back, or like from 10 metres from the back, the back crew, they started mucking around. Then it was 20 metres back. Then it was, they ate me alive. It was the longest hour of my bloody life. So I walked out of there, Kilsey, he's there with me, and he's just looking at me. I'm going, well, we better check the tech next time. And so I learnt that from now on, when I ever do those presentations, you speak to the people, even if you're not in the neighbourhood, and say, hey, the tech needs to be spot on.
Yeah.
You learn. And I hated the experience, but I get through it. And then now I can laugh at it. So all those failures, I now laugh at them because I can see the funny side of it.
Yeah.
Wasn't necessarily funny when that girl kissed me and said that I was a sloppy fish. It wasn't, mate. I'm not going to lie. All right, it wasn't. It wasn't funny when they delisted me at St Kilda and said I smoked dope. It wasn't, mate. When that girl said to me, hey, I just look at you, and basically said to me that you're a bum and you're never going to have any money and you are not fit to raise a family or to support a partner, mate, I was flat.
Yeah.
But when I look at them all back now, I laugh.
Yeah.
Not at them. I laugh. Don't laugh at them. I'm not angry at them. I'm laughing because, mate, it was probably spot on, man. It was probably spot on.
But I think the significant difference is, because I think, like, I look back on failures and go like, I laugh at them now, but like it's the same thing in the moment. It's devastating and it's such a hit to your ego. But I was listening to, Laird Hamilton. He's a big wave surfer.
Hawaii surfer.
Yeah. He does surfs huge waves, and he was talking about fear. And it's like you have like Rack. I think you have like a very specific relationship with fear that a lot of people probably don't have. The way Laird was talking about, who has an incredible relationship with fear, like he is surfing the biggest waves in the world, and like he invented, I don't know what it's called technically, but where a jet ski tows you out to get the speed to ride those waves. Like he created that thing, among other things. He was talking about fear and saying like your fear comes when there's something that's unknown, and you're scared of it because it's unknown. So you either choose to kind of like remain afraid and don't confront the unknown, and so then you're afraid of it forever. Or if you confront it, it becomes less unknown until you're not afraid of it anymore because it's not unknown. And I just thought that was like a really
spot on.
Amazing way to describe that sort of approaching fear.
And I think, so as a person now, I think that's what I live by, because it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to suck, but eventually you're going to get through it. All right. But so like, I mean, sometimes when I do talks, I talk about Paul de Gelder. I was doing a prezzo one time and he was talking before me. This Paul de Gelder bloke, he was a Navy diver, right? Paul de Gelder. He was a Navy diver, Australian, yeah. And he was a Navy diver, and he gone to the Middle East and whatnot, did all that, got through it, and then he came back and he was now instructing. So he's teaching the next batch of Navy divers how to do their thing, and they got footage of it. He was in the Sydney Harbour, right? And he went out there and a bull shark got him, took his right arm, took his right leg, yeah. So then, like I reckon about 4 years after the event, he's at this conference and I was talking after him. And I'd never heard his story, but I heard about him, and I did a bit of research, the flyer about the conference, who else is speaking. So I was like, I'm going to get there early because I've never heard it. I'm going to check him out. And he did his chat. And at the end of it, he said, are there any questions? And a lady at the back of the room, she stood up. She said, I've got one. Benefit of hindsight. I know it's a hypothetical, but if you could go back in time, if you could go back to prior to jumping in that water, you knew it was about to happen. You knew that bull shark was going to be there. You knew that bull shark was going to come and get you. She said, would you do it again? And he started to laugh. He said, are you kidding me? What, you asked me that a day later? I'm on the operation table, man. I'm just my right arm, right leg amputated. You give me a chance not to go through this again? No way, never. What? 6 weeks later, that's when this thing strapped to my leg for the first time. Every morning when I go to bed, I hit my schnoz on the floor. I'm learning how to walk again. I'm not doing it again. 12 months, it's cold sweat, man. I'm having nightmares every single night. I don't know what I'm going to do for Coin. No way would I do it again, but here you are. You're asking me would I do it again 3 years after the event? And he said every single day of the week. And then what he said though was this, is that, mate, it was awful. I hated it. I wish I never went through it. But where I am right now, I've had to live with it. I've had to go through it, and I've had some growth. So when you talk about, I know we're going a bit off tangent here, but post-traumatic growth, it's like you never want to experience it, man. But you have. You've experienced it. You didn't choose to do it. But what are you going to do with it now?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with it now? So for me, all my failures are, what am I going to do with it now? It's here. And then my faith in myself is that I know that the people who love me, they are my bedrock, they are my rudder, they are the people who've got my back. I know they've got me. I know despite this failure, they still support me. I know despite this failure, I'm still loved. I know despite this failure, like what you guys always talk about, I'm worthy of loved. I know despite this failure, I still belong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mate, Hugh didn't burn me straight away. Like, I'm working with him. He could have burnt me. Didn't. Mate, he backed me in. He believes in me. You know, I know that he's got my back. You know, my dad, when he's waiting for me, I knew that he's got my back. Didn't have to say a word. My mum, I know she's got me, man. She's got me forever. She just gives me little snippets of wisdom, you know, just by doing things, saying things. She's got my back. That's my inspiration.
What I'm kind of, this is just incredible. But I'm actually kind of interested. So Hugh, so when you got that email from the guy, because I just think this is kind of interesting for people who are going through a failure and they're worried about what other people will think or what their boss or parents or whatever is going to think. Were you like,
well,
I've made a massive, like, what are you thinking?
Well, Rack's got the story a bit. He's made me sound a bit stronger than I am, because what actually happened was, I got the email, but it didn't come straight to me. It went to our inquiries.
Oh yeah.
Which Rack actually had access to.
Oh.
But I didn't know. Well, I knew he would be able to work. Like, I didn't think he was reading them.
Yeah.
But I knew he did have access. But I thought, why would he want to check the inquiries email? That was still at the point where I was taking bookings, which is a disaster, knowing my admin skills. But anyway, I read it, and it was really personal. It was really rude, and it was.
So you read it before Hugh spoke to you?
No, well, so this is how it happened. It was very mean-spirited, the email, and I sat on it for 2 days. I actually remember walking up and down Penny's parents' street, because we were living with them at the time. And I walked up and back to think, what do I do with this? And I thought, I don't agree with the feedback. It's not helpful to him.
Yeah.
And it's more trying to upset me because I didn't turn up to that talk. That's what it was about. And so I didn't actually pass it on to him, which would have been probably, looking back, I probably should have. Anyway, 2, 3, 4 days later, we were at a primary school out in the southern suburbs. And I was presenting for the first hour, and then Rack was doing an hour, and we were taking in turns, and I'd do it, and he'd do an hour. And I finished mine, and I watched Rack's. And as I was about to get up my third, he said, hey, just very quickly, I saw the email. I was trying to work out locations. I saw it, I read it, and you said, you got to tell me that stuff. You can't hide that from me. And I was just about to get him to do a talk, and I felt so bad. But as I was presenting, I was trying to think, no, why didn't I? And then it was Rack's turn to get up and present, and I said to him, hey, just so you know, the reason I didn't give you that feedback is because I don't agree with it. I don't think it was helpful at all. And that's how that kind of happened. But
yeah.
With what we do for work, amazingly, people, if they don't like us, they want us to know. You know, I watch movies and I didn't like that movie, I'm going to let the producer know or the director know. I don't think that. But with what we do, people want us to know.
Yeah.
And so I've been quite used to getting emails. Rack gets and it always hurts still.
100%. Do you know, how's this? I went to a party on Friday night, right? It was a mate's 40th. And I don't know if this bloke knew what my background. He knew me, and he started talking about, during lockdown, I was listening to these blokes on the Imperfects. I started cracking up.
Sounds like a legend.
And I looked at him and I said, oh yeah, what do they like? He goes, and this guy was awesome. And he goes, I just loved how I had 3 blokes, and they'd talk about all the stuff that we never, ever, ever talk about. And they open up about stuff that no one is willing to do. And I was sitting there and I said, well, mate, why do you think they're doing that, dude? And he's like looking at me going, what do you mean? I said, why do you think they're doing that? Like, are they empowering you? Are they making you believe that it's normal? Are they making you believe that there's other people out there doing something? And this is the whole crux of it, mate, is that if it's normal, I'm in. If it's not normal, I'm out. And so what this podcast is doing, you guys with the Imperfects, and what we're trying to do, the Resilience Project, is to make people be aware that it's normal.
Yeah.
It's okay, but we don't do it if it's not. And so I'm so fearful of failure, for instance. No, it's normal. Talk about it. So if we talk about it, I then know that Josh fails. I then know that Hugh fails. I know that you fail, Ryan. I know that I fail. And then the person listening to this podcast, they know that this is happening all day, every day. Yeah. And then they know and believe they can talk about it. And then if they're talking about it to someone who isn't going to burn them, who isn't going to judge them, who's going to say to them, you know what, I'm with you, man. I've felt that before. Then we're on. Then we can help each other. So if we do make it normal, mate, we are cooking. But our problem is, in the past, is that we don't want to talk about failure. We don't want to talk about it because we're fearful of judgment. We don't want to be exposed, and we're worried about status. Yeah. Mate, it happens everywhere, man. I'm telling you, I drop the kids off at kindergarten and there's status going on.
Yeah.
No, there is.
Oh, it's
flat out.
I think what you just said there is so, I love that. And that everything is normal. And we've just realized that so many times in this podcast, there's been so many situations, things that have come up that we hadn't talked about before, and it comes up and you just feel less weird or more normal. Yeah. And it's weird because I'm actually not someone, professionally at least, I don't want to be normal. Like it's a weird kind of like dichotomy or something. No. I don't want to do the normal thing. But the thing that I just keep learning over and over again, whether it's on this podcast or in like therapy, is that I'm way less unique than I think I am. Like I think I'm living
and it's a good thing.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. Yeah. It's like we all sort of, the stuff that we keep hidden, the stuff we don't talk about, the shame that we have, we think we're living this really weird, unnatural, unique existence that no one will understand. But then the moment you talk about it, like everything I've spoken about on this podcast, I get so much incredible feedback from people living the same experience in the privacy of their own life. And I feel lucky that I've got a platform that I can actually talk about it and get that feedback. But the truth is that I'm now convinced of is that nothing you're going through, nothing anyone is going through, it's not, you're not the only one going through it.
Yeah.
And you probably realize that your best friend is going through the same thing. It's like when Hugh, you said that you were taking finasteride, like the hair tablets.
Yeah.
And I'd never told anyone that I was taking them. But we were live on the podcast. You're saying that you're doing it. And I'm like, I can't fucking believe this. I take them. And it was this shame, this
and
genuine...
then I couldn't believe that you were taking them.
Yeah.
Because you've got so much hair.
Yeah. And it's like this weird shame that I'm carrying around thinking it's not a failure necessarily, but it is a shame and something that I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't think it was normal. And I had this belief that people who had receding hairlines or went bald were like, it's you're less than, like, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to protect that secret as the best I could. And then in that moment, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty normal.
Yeah.
The gift that I try and give kids every time I present to them is that you're you and you're different. You're different to every other person in here, but different is the same. We're all different, man. So you just keep being you.
Yeah.
And they want it because they want to be normal, whatever the word may be. They want to know that it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
And so like when we're doing Gem TV lockdown, and I was doing these sessions for the kids, 20-minute sessions where the schools we were working with, I'd hang out with them for 20 minutes and I'd go nuts. Like I had air guitar out, going off my head, jumping up and down, dripping like a pig, sweating up and loving it. But what I'm trying to get the parents to see is that the kids gravitate to someone who is being them because it's so refreshing for the kid to know that they can be them. When you're a kid, it's so hard because you're scared. You think you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to, conform. You go to a private school, you got to have your top button up, hair not below the collar, all that crap, whatever it may be. Go somewhere else, it's got to be this. Go there, it's that. And all it is bliss. I don't know if I said this in the last one, but it is bliss when you can wake up every day and just be you. It's bliss, but it's the journey to get there. Doesn't just happen, man. Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like all the shit that you got to go through, that's the journey. But when you go through that journey and you experience all that and then you get to the point where you can wake up and just be you, it's the easiest gig in the world because all you got to do, man, is just be you. That's all you got to be. But it's hard for a kid.
Yeah.
And so when we
hard
do
for an
presentations,
adult.
bloody oath, when we do presentations, like there's a school in New Zealand, mate, I haven't told you this, school in New Zealand, and they're doing a assembly item, right? And all the kids wrote me a letter, right? Every kid from New Zealand wrote me a letter, and I reckon about 80% of them, they all said, "Do you know what I love about you? I love that you make me feel like it's okay to be me." Do you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there going, "We are on here." But isn't that? Go.
No, I've just got an example for you. This is something that Rack, you've got to, it's so good to watch. So when I watch Rack at a school doing school presentations, we'll sit there, we're waiting for the kids to roll in. And it can be, as you said, up to 1,000 kids will turn up to a presentation, sometimes more when we're up in far north Queensland, we go to the schools together. But if you watch Rack, he watches all the kids come in and he picks out the kids. They're like the troublemakers, the ones who are going to try and derail his session or call out, and he watches them, and he goes up to them as everyone's sitting down. He'll go straight to them, and what he actually says is not so much the point, but he almost kind of validates that they want to do that, and kind of says, "I would have been doing exactly what you're about to do," and you have a really great chat with him. You'll give him like massive fist pump, whatever it is, and I think what you do, I've always thought it was like you get him on side, but it's not so much you're getting him on side, it's letting him know that like you get him, you understand him, and that's totally fine. And I think the fact that they felt really seen by you, you just don't have any troubles. Like they love you straight away. And I think it's because what you're doing is you're letting them know in 20, 30 seconds that it's okay to be you. And then you take off and you find the next troublemaker.
Yeah, no, it's 100% what I do. And there's telltale signs there every single time. The teacher comes in and says to the kid, "Are you making the right behaviour choices?" I sit next to them. I sit in integration A with another kid. I just go, bang, I'm on. I've got to talk to these kids. One time I was at a loose high school. Like it was on, mate. I love a loose high school, man. It's unreal.
You've never seen anything like it. I sit there like trembling going, "Oh God, when will this be over?" And Rack's like, "How good is this?"
And so, and then these kids came in, and this kid came in, and I gave him the microphone. Because he was doing some rap when he was coming in. He was just looking at me like this as he came in. I said, "Hey, mate, do you do beats?" He's like, "What, bruh?" He's like, "What, bruh?" I go, "Mate, do you do beats?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Do you do beats, man? Here's the mic. Come on, man. Get up here. Let's hear the beats." So we're waiting for 700 kids to get into this hall, right? And he's got the microphone. He's just going, and he started rapping. I was sitting there going, "This is sick." Now, this school, they could have eaten me alive. But here's the kicker. This is where adults make mistakes, always. They are so scared of letting go of control.
Yeah.
I embrace that. Why? Because by letting go of control, that kid gets up on the mic. Those kids don't respect me, mate. Who am I? They don't know me. Why would they respect me? But they respect him. That's their crew. That's their colleague. So are they going to muck around when he's on the mic? No way, man. So they're all coming in and he's dropping beats and he's doing it all and it's awesome. And then they gravitate to me because they've seen that I've let go and I've empowered them and I trust them. And I'll say to a kid, "Hey, man, you got the mic. I trust you, dude. You know what to do. Go and rip it up." And all the teachers look at me going, "Oh my God." And half the time I get some of the teachers going, "I hope he eats them alive. I hope he eats them alive." And I'm sitting there, what I'm trying to model to the teachers is that and to adults in general, is that when you let go, you do not know what the outcome will be. When you let go, there is possibly failure. But when you let go, you do not ever. If you don't let go, mate, you got a ceiling. You're not going anywhere, man.
But that's
the same thing.
You leaning into the unknown.
Yeah, it's vulnerability, whatever it may be. But the kids get up there and they drop chestnuts you never would have heard in your life.
Yeah.
Like, you never would have heard it.
Mm.
Like, how on earth would have you heard it? What, I'm going to go in there and control the whole gig and not give them a voice?
Yeah.
But by giving
Guilty.
them a voice,
Because that would be shit.
this is awesome. You and I, we work so differently.
Really?
But that's why we work. But isn't that the cool thing about
Yeah.
life? It's like anything, man.
Brilliant.
But anyway, by letting go these kids, they then look at you and they like, and the same with like when you present and you let go, right? And there's different ways of letting go. Like Hugh lets go by being so open, right? And so the crowd talks to him because he's open. He's willing to share. Far out. If you're going to go there, I'm going to go there. And you know what? I trust you, man, because what you're talking about, that's heavy. And I reckon I've got some heavy stuff, so I'm going to connect. Yeah, I trust him. The kids, they want to know that here's someone who respects what they've got. Here's someone who's going to adapt. It's not about me.
Mm.
It's about you, the kid. What do you want? Mate, you ask a kid what they want. Sometimes at some schools they freak out. What are you doing asking me, man? No, you tell me what to do. No, mate.
Mm.
I want to know what you want. And now I'm going to adapt. You're not going to adapt. I'm going to. So what failure also teaches you is it's okay to pivot. It's okay to adapt.
Mm.
Like COVID, mate. Like, I'm telling you, mate, that was failure for all of us. Was it not? Like, we were uncomfortable. But you know what? If you're used to pivoting, if you're used to adapting, you're doing things you've never done before, but you work it out because you need to get through the churn.
Mm.
So, mate, I don't like the circumstances, but I've got to do something different. Adapt. I might stuff up. Well, of course I'll stuff up. I've never bloody done it before. So I'm kind to myself. You know what? That was crap. It went pear-shaped, but I've never done it before. So chin up. Let's go again.
Mm.
So all of that you're giving the kids and you're modelling it to them, and then they're on, mate. They're on because they've had the opportunity to believe. They've had the opportunity to have someone let go and allow them to pivot and lead, right? And then they've had the opportunity to understand that what they did was awesome, and they've got someone reinforcing it in front of the whole school, how awesome you are. So I always go after the kids who I believe are marginalised. I always go after the kids who I believe might not have social networks at the school, who might be, I suppose, deemed to be different. And they are different. They're awesome because they are. And then I get them up on stage and I pump them up. And I get them up on stage and I tell them to tell everyone how you roll, man. And then when they finish telling everyone how they roll, I say, you are awesome. And I look at every kid in that room and I say to them, if I went to this school and I was a mate of him or her, whoever they identify themselves to be, I'd be so bloody proud.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kid walks off the stage and they are Dermot Burton, 1989 grand final. Mate, they're on.
Who we
Their
all aspire
chest-
to.
Their chest is out and they feel validated that it's okay to be them. God, it's tough being a kid.
I've seen this in action, and I think Rack sent me a video the other day. No context. It was just him being carried out by about 400 kids, like all just carrying him out of the school hall. There's no context. No.
This bloke, he was a big unit, that kid. He was. Like, he picked me up. It was awesome.
I always feel like, and I mean this very genuinely, this is not like just a way of rounding out this episode, but I always feel like I'm a much better person when I spend time with you. I really mean that.
Yeah.
I
True.
So thank you.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
I've got an anecdote just as a bookend that
Yeah,
might
go.
work. We don't have to include this, but it's just been when you started today, you were telling the story about being left on the bench.
Yeah.
When I was playing a much lower standard of football, but it meant the world to me at the time. At year 12, we were playing against a footy school at their school that our school had never ever beaten at their home ground. And I was in the team. I was really excited. Couldn't wait to get there. The coach didn't put me on in the first quarter. Didn't put me on in the second quarter. Didn't get on in the third quarter, same as you.
This Ken Sheldon.
Bomber. And in the fourth quarter, the assistant coach, I saw go up to him and say, Josh hasn't been on. He put me on for about 30 seconds and took me off. And I think that was the moment that I decided I wasn't the amount I internalized about what a failure that was for me, and that summed up who I was at the time, that I'd take on those failures so heavily, and I really believed I was a massive failure, and was embarrassed, and it hurt, and I was kind of ashamed, and I kind of lost interest in football from that moment on, I think. And I look at times in my 20s, and I think a lot of people are guilty of this, and I certainly was, of doing that thing you were talking about before, where I didn't give it everything, and I'd make excuses of holding bits back because I didn't want to be giving it all and failing. I just wish so much that I'd heard someone like yourself, or had someone who had been down that journey before, to try and get me to understand what I think I'm starting to understand now, that exactly what you just said, that it's okay to be you, and that just because you've had a failure, that doesn't mean you're a failure.
Yeah. I said this to Gordy the other day quickly, and it went over the top of his head. But anyway, but I said, mate, the failure, that doesn't define you. It's what you do next. That's what defines you, mate. So how do you see this? All right? I'm with you. I'm experiencing the same emotions as you. It hurts. All right, let's get through it, and then let's work out how we can get better next time we're in that same situation. And I think really importantly, last one for parents, is that if they don't allow their kids to talk about their failure, then that kid makes the same mistake again and again and again. If you want to punish them, roll out behaviour management, wherever it may be, ground them, they're not learning. How they learn is when the time is right, they'll sit down with you, and when both sides of the parties have their emotions in check, you talk about alternative strategies that you could do in the situation if it presents itself again in the future that will get you a different outcome. You don't want that kid to punch you in the face. What did you do? You stole his lunch. Next time, why did you steal his lunch? Well, he was annoying me in class. So next time he's annoying you in class, what can you do instead of taking the lunch that will not lead to the punch in the face? That then is growth. That then is learning. That then is education. Yeah. But if we don't talk, how do we get better? But also, if I don't listen to you, Ryan, or you, Hugh, or you, Josh, then how the fuck do I get better for me and for you? That's the key. Thought I'd drop an F-bomb in there just for a bit of added impact. Don't know how it's going to go with my mum if she does listen to this episode, but that's okay.
Will your mum listen?
Delete it. Well, you know how my parents roll, Hugh. After I'd said to them, I love you, when I was trying to mold it to the kids, and they said, ditto. And then my dad said, that's fantastic. Can you just read my email, Martin? No, but Dad, I love you, mate. No, yeah, but did you read my email? Dad, I love you. Did you read my email? I said, well, we're obviously not listening or responding to each other right now, mate.
Martin, thanks so much for joining us today. An absolute pleasure to have you in here.
Thank you, Ryan. Love you, mate.
Thank you. Love you guys. Legend.
If this episode has been triggering for you, we strongly recommend Lifeline on 131114. The Imperfects is hosted and co-produced by Hugh Van Cuylenberg, Ryan Shelton and Josh Van Cuylenberg. This episode was produced by Bridget Northeast, edited by Andy Hall, filmed by Andy Poole and social mediated by George Martin. A special thanks to Dr. M for her expertise and guidance. We'd also like to thank the Resilience Project for their ongoing support. Our acknowledgement of country was delivered by Marley Silva, and you can find Marley's podcast Chicks and Balls on all the podcast platforms.